Welcome, everyone. So nice to have you with me today. Are you ready to take one small step forward together? Let's do it. Here, fasting space, we're moving forward in health. If you were with me yesterday, we talked about setting some tiny goals. Did you have a tiny goal for your day yesterday? My tiny goal, as you know, I am doing my best to gently recover from an illness. I set a tiny goal, make it around the block with the dog on a little walk. And I made it, but not until 5 o'clock, right before dinner. I got around the block. So it was a victory, a little victory for me. Now, what you might not know is that I live on a very tiny block. So it's actually a triangle. It's like this little puzzle piece in the middle of the city. Try to make all the pieces fit. Madison is a very, not a lot of square blocks, a lot of irregular shapes going on. So I'm on one of those. So it's really like a half block. So a half block yesterday, maybe a full block today. This is the idea, the metaphor that I want to bring toward our health path anyway. Never overwhelming ourselves, taking things one step at a time. A weight loss journey, if that's the type of health path that you're on, I especially want to help you with that. Maybe that is something you've been working on for a long time. Maybe it is something that you are new to. Either way, I want you to settle in here, grab a coffee, grab a tea, grab a water, any calorie-free beverage, and you're starting in on a fasting space right away, you know? You just had something to eat, okay, but now the clock is going. Or maybe you didn't eat since yesterday, and now we're just going to extend that space. That's all a fasting space is. A little opportunity in the body. Make some room for something new. Some openness. And so think about taking a step, one step, and I'm going to continue us on expanding our thinking on this book. I'm just personally, I have been sinking into this over this period, been finding a lot of strength from it. Going to share the highlights, of the first 50 pages. Maybe this, I don't know if this week, is this week going to be Radical Acceptance Week? Maybe I will, we'll see where it flows. But today I want to share a section with you from this section, Strategies to Manage the Pain of Inadequacy. One of the root things they've been talking about in this book is that at the root of so many of the problems that we have, way down below anger and jealousy and so many other things, is that we have a deep-seated feeling of unworthiness, a frustration with ourselves. It's hard to even say. Do you feel it? I say it, I'm like, whoa, it's heavy. Maria's here. It says, I slowed down my walking speed yesterday and was able to double the distance. There's truth to the tortoise and the hare analogy. Hey, thank you for sharing. I'm glad you were able to do that. I am very supportive of that sort of idea. Slow down. We've got time. And there's no rush. And that's very cool that you were able to do that. Very cool. I think I might take that exact idea into my own practice today. I like it. I'm going to do it. I am going to slow down even further into a saunter. I'm going to saunter along and double the distance. Yeah, I think I was watching, some video came up. I was on YouTube doing some of my things, and a video came up on a very long, I mean, it was half an hour exposition of why walking is just so good for people. And it basically had that message, you know? We get so much of the benefit from intense running just from walking, and we can slow down. And for most of human history, it's hard to get our mind around. No cars, nothing taken up. Even no horses. For people didn't have so much. People just walked everywhere. And the human body really built to walk. And so we can take that into our modern context right here. No matter where we're at, if we're at a really strong place, okay, you can bring some walking. It's going to help the body. And if you're at a low point, just trying to walk around a half block, even slow it down. Don't rush. All right. A couple things I'm going to share with you today. Some sections of this book, and then I've got a little something different to share with you. But this section right here, they say, we do whatever we can to avoid the raw pain of feeling unworthy. And what they say in other sections here is that this is one of the big things we bury deep down. Many different reasons we can feel that way. What we perceive as our deficiencies, they say. When they are exposed either to ourselves or to others, we react and we try, they say, cover over our nakedness like Adam and Eve after the fall. Over the years, we develop a particular blend of strategies designed to hide our flaws and compensate for what we believe is wrong with us. And then they list like 7 strategies, but I just wanted to focus mainly on this one because it can hit close to home. See how you feel about this. This section is titled, We Embark, or Strategy 1, they say, we embark on one self-improvement project after another. Self-improvement, something I think is really good, right? This is one of the points of the thing, like nothing wrong with self-improvement. And they're going to list this whole series of things, many of which are good. But this is the small step I want to take today. I say, let's take one step. And as we're thinking about breaking things down really small, really tiny, what about even before we take the step? This is going to help us, I think, really get into a super, hopefully clarifying mindset. Why are we even taking this step? Like, let's be really clear about it. Here's what they say. We strive to meet the media standards for a perfect body and looks. We color out the gray, get a facelift, go on a perpetual diet. We push ourselves to get better positions at work. We exercise. We take courses of study, meditate, make lists, volunteer, take workshops. It can go on and on. Certainly any of these activities can be undertaken in a wholesome way. Have lots of good things on the list. But so often, they are driven by the anxious undercurrent of not good enough, rather than relaxing and enjoying who we are and what we are doing. We are comparing ourselves with an ideal and trying to make up for the difference at any point. Comparing ourselves to an ideal of ourselves that we create, comparing ourselves to an ideal of someone else's life that is not our situation, might not even be real. We're living in this digital age. Did I say in the first time I read through this, I can't remember what I said and what I didn't. The person who wrote this book I read the story about when she was a young adult, really struggling with depression, feeling isolated and lonely. I don't think I went on to the section where she ended up joining an ashram, a Hindu spiritual community, and she lived for 8 years in this spiritual community, practicing meditation, teaching yoga, doing, all these kind of spiritual practices. And it took 8 years for her in that place to realize that the whole reason she was there was just continuing the cycle, that she didn't feel she was good enough. She's saying, maybe if I join this spiritual community, maybe then I will be good enough. And then it wasn't good enough to do that, so she became a leader in it. Now she's teaching meditation. Now she's doing all these things. Is still not finding happiness because not accepting herself. Did not find a place where she was okay with it, is always striving for the next thing, have to do more, have to do better. Always it is the external validation. And so think of that story and then coming into this space. What does our life look like? Can we do that? Could we launch ourselves on an 8-year journey to nowhere, basically? Where it's like maybe we accomplished some goal. This person accomplished all kinds of goals over 8 years. They were looked to as like a leader in a community of people. They say this is someone, people are coming here for guidance from this person not actually okay. This is something I'm always very cognizant of. The pressure that people feel in society, look a certain way. Man, especially young people, I don't know, maybe everybody, but people feel a lot of pressure like that. There are certain areas of fasting online that head into a space that I feel is not good. People forcing themselves into bad mental states, chasing some sort of pressure from culture. Being on a perpetual diet. This is a sort of space, like I love that they put that in there. There's a big challenge, for us. Some people say, well, if fasting isn't a diet, it's a lifestyle. Okay, well, this is semantics. Okay, we're changing how we are eating in some sort of fashion. It's like, do you call it a diet? I personally like saying lifestyle. Diet has a lot of connotation to it. The connotation that I don't like is that people in some sort of rigid, dogmatic place where things can't be changed, where it's like, feels like a punishment. The thing that I want for people in a fasting space, find a space that is calm and comfortable, settled, thoughtful, where it's like the practice itself is a wellness practice so that you feel better while you're doing it. And that kind of mindset is very far away from what people would typically refer to as like a diet. You know what I mean? And it's like a fasting space, grab a coffee. It's like if we're heading through something like that. It's like, do you find that to be pleasant? Do you have a favorite beverage of choice in the morning or the evening? Maybe it's an herbal tea, in the evening especially, it's kind of calm down. It's like a little comfort food type of vibe going on. This is what a fasting space is to me, not like a diet. So this is what we're saying. Before we're heading out the door, before we're taking our walk, look at all the good things that you can be doing. You go learn things and practice meditation. Go exercise. Do all these things. Where is the root mindset that is underlying? And is that the one step that we can take today? Make sure, remember that line from Atomic Habits, like you take off from LA and you're 1 degree off on the plane. You're going to New York, but you're just one tick over, you end up in DC, Trying to find some sort of spiritual enlightenment. You spent 8 years of your life on a journey to realize that you're keeping the same cycle going. This is what we were saying yesterday. I really loved the thought about trying to find a silver lining in the middle of a dark and difficult time. And maybe sometimes there isn't one, it's like, man. But to the extent that we can find it, if it helps us to break things down, get down to a very, very base level, say, what are the things that we find at the very bottom here? Can we actually find love and compassion for ourselves to get to an idea like this, that we have really compassion and acceptance, even radical acceptance for ourselves, meaning we are totally okay and accepting of our life as it is right now. That we don't have to change, right? That things don't have to be better. They don't have to be. Everything is okay how it is. Somewhere I'll do another section, we'll find it. I flagged a bunch of sections, but there's a quote in here that is basically like, when we find a space like that, if we can do it, true acceptance of ourselves is actually the process that helps us, ironically, paradoxically, to actually make changes for the better. Because when we don't do that, it's like we're not really in alignment. We're not really on our path. We're on someone else's path. We're comparing ourselves to someone else. We're comparing ourselves somewhere. We're striving for something we're not because we're lacking, instead of realizing, hey, we have so much, everything we need, love, compassion for ourselves right here, everything okay, no pressure. This is the sort of mindset that I really want for people. This is how we can flow through something difficult to the best of our ability, instead of struggling and fighting. Something that is a struggle, very hard to maintain for years, especially a lifetime, right? I want people to find lifetime health process, something that feels comfortable and good, that it's like a boat. I love the sailboat analogy. I think a lot about the sail, okay, but just think of the boat, right? The boat floats, right? Doesn't matter if there's a wind or not. You're not going to sink, right? The boat is holding you up. You can think about this plateau phase in a weight space, okay? We think, okay, how come if we're out here, I like this one, climbing our mountain, how come we're here, we're not climbing the mountain? Okay, but look, we're not sinking either. So this is a good thing. Have we gotten a system? Most people, I've shared this data, most people who go on a weight loss process in the US, like 95% who go on any type of diet lose at least 5 pounds. Most people lose 10 pounds, okay? Plateau and regain, right? That is the type of cycle that is so common. If we get into a space, we found something that feels okay, we get into a plateau phase and we're floating along in this sailboat and we say, okay, but look what is not happening. If we can break that cycle, float along for a little while, even say the wind is not blowing in the sails as robustly as we wish. But look, the boat's not sinking either. It's like we're not heading back where we were either. Floating along, waiting for that wind to fill the sail. It's like waiting for the inspiration. We did this session the other week, finding inspiration. And that other one, clues to the puzzle, right? Plateau space is not a bad space. A lot of things. I love all these analogies. The caterpillar, the cocoon, the transformation is happening beneath the surface. I love that. Don't just embark on a self-improvement process to continue something that is a distraction from the deep work of being okay with ourselves, and to realize no self-improvement is needed in order to find love and compassion. Okay, that's my big step for today. Now, I thought I would share something a little different. The music I got floating in the background here, I've shared from this artist before, a YouTuber, Coulou, and plays his beautiful guitars and trumpets. And I put a link in the description here to this exact video where he is playing this beautiful little background music. You know, I was thinking if my channel was just music, I would want it to be Coulou, because, you know, it's about the same length. You know, he'll record these sessions, you know, half an hour, and he'll even put them out in a beautiful nature. That's like this one. He's sitting on a dock out by a lake, and then one take, a live shot, just like this, riffing on an idea. It's kind of like what I do. So if there were no words, only sounds, I say we couldn't do much better than that. So if you like the sort of vibe, you can click over some point, check out the actual real video. You know, I've got this turned way down, and you can see if you like that vibe. But in his description, he gave this whole thought behind what he was thinking about as he was playing this music. And I was really connecting it into, you know, this thought. Are we on one self-improvement project after another? And, you know, presumably we go on self-improvement projects to begin with because we're not happy about something. We're not finding contentment in life. We're sitting in a space, say we have anxiety or we're worried about something. And he told this story about some conversations that he had, so I just thought it would be nice to share it, since he is being so kind and sharing his music with us and the world. And then it touches a little bit on maybe some themes that I have talked about. You know, Hare is an artist, he is a musician, and he is spending his life trying to, you know, make his way sharing music. Not always an easy thing to do. Talking with two friends who are also in an art space, you know, about some of their struggles. And so as we think even of ourselves, no matter what we are doing, if we work in food service or finance or whatever, you know, it's like we say, we can envision ourselves as artists. We can take ideas and things that people are struggling with in an art space, bring it into our struggle for better health. We're trying to take the raw materials that we have, the palette of paints, and paint them into a beautiful expression, you know. What is a piece of artwork other than a human expression, you know? An expression of health, to me, is like a living artwork. That's what we're trying to do. Create something really beautiful and healthy and positive in the world. In all the difficulty in the world, the conflict and the, like we read in that passage yesterday, the beauty and the pain at the same point. Isn't art what helps us connect to that and move forward in the most human way? Anyway, here's his story. Let's see what we think of it today. Yesterday it was resonating with me. A little tangent. If you're somewhere where the seasons are changing, I hope you're getting a chance to take a moment and appreciate the transition of the seasons. Hey, that's something I try to bring in our experience. We were talking yesterday. Life, so many times we see it as a straight line, but often it is a cycle. And seasons helping us to see that, helping give us encouragement. You know, if we're at a low point here, I've been telling you, I'm at a low point after this illness. It's like the winter has happened. We're frozen over, can barely move, and now we're gonna see the spring coming, looking to the light. I wasn't expecting to be able to spend time in nature this week, but some planets aligned, and I made sure to follow. yesterday had 2 conversations with 2 people that I'm very close to. One of them in so many ways already very successful in the arts, the other really in their first year of pursuing a path in the arts. Both of them separately dealing with the, is this what I want to be doing with my life? Type of existential moments. Both dealing with the anxious thoughts of an imagined future where things don't work out exactly and their lives just didn't turn out the way they wanted. And I would add, you don't have to be an artist to feel that way, right? Can't we all resonate? I think, can you feel that way any stage in life? It's like we are where we are and we're looking forward, and we can have existential moments. And this is part of where I started building the bridge into this passage. We say, well, now I have to go on the self-improvement project because things aren't okay and we're worried about the future. Take a deep breath, come back into the present moment, find acceptance like this is saying here. Coulou goes on. It's a super real fear, something I think you can feel at any point on your journey. It's like at the end of the day, there are only so many pieces in life that we have any sense of control over. But both conversations were incredibly helpful for me to have, hopefully for them as well. A clear point came up in my mind while talking to each of them. I thought about how back in 2019, when I'd first moved to New York, everything seemed to fall apart. I had a job lined up at a label on Sony that fell through. Between sessions, picking up literally any random job or gig I could find, was in a constant state of, oh my God, did I really decide to pursue this crazy path of art? And maybe I'll be struggling like this my whole life. Just think of these words as you hear this beautiful trumpet playing, That line, so beautiful. Then I was finally able to get a job working in a bakery. I'd wake up at 4 a.m., I'd get on the bus, I'd be baking all day. It's sounding fun to me now, but honestly, I was so depressed then. And I just felt scared. But over 5 years, the bakery job turned into a coffee shop job, turned into a natural wine job, and all the while, I was touring, recording, performing, writing. Every year I grew, I moved closer to the person I wanted to be. And even though some years have been much harder, every year I've gotten to live my life closer and closer to what feels most right. Through every hardship, loss, and failure, my life overall has continued to become better, more loving, and more me. I thought this was really beautiful. I don't know how you feel about it. Can you look back over life and see periods like that? Struggle and difficulty and times where things are not clear, but then with hindsight, maybe over a longer period of time than we think. Look at him. He's talking about over 5 years. It started to become clear that things were trending in the direction, We live in such an instant, on-demand culture where everything has to happen, And this is another thing that was connecting me into this passage where it's like, we click a button and something comes on Amazon in the same day even, okay? And then we have something we really want. Like, I want my health to be better. Like now, I'd pay almost any amount of money that I could afford to hit a button and feel better now, have the health situation resolved, but then it doesn't work that way. And we create this vision in our mind of how things should be or how they were. It's like, I think for myself, man, just 3 weeks ago, I was like feeling the best I had in years, and now I'm like at such a low point, We can create this gap that can be so discouraging. Like, to me, the connection of these stories helping us see the bigger picture, both grounding in the present moment, accepting life as it is, and then also seeing in the bigger picture that things are okay. He goes on, all this is to say that when you feel lost, when you feel scared of your next steps, first validate those feelings, because the world is scary and it is okay. But next, take a deep breath and think of all the times you got through hard periods in life. Every time you learned a new skill, made a new friend, created a new sense of home, found a new passion. We are simply the sum of the truths that we tell ourselves. And I think it's to all our benefit to find some more trust in our own selves. Trust that you'll fight for a world you want to live in. Trust that you will create spaces you feel comfortable in. Trust that you will connect with people who are good for you. We can't control this path, but if you took a moment and looked back at all the lines, all the times that came before this one, you'd probably noticed you haven't given yourself the credit you deserve. You deserve the sense of peace that comes with trusting yourself. You've worked so hard to get where you are. Practice trusting yourself, trusting your path. Not sure if this makes any sense, but if it connects with even one of you, that would be great. That is Coulou. Link is in the description. Go watch this guy sitting on his dock playing this beautiful music. And I'm going to just drink a coffee for 10 seconds here, and let's just listen to him pick some beautiful notes and think of these words that he was channeling through us. Like, hearing it, you can go read them again if it's helpful, and then just think these notes like are the same words, you know? More tiny goals for the day. What tiny goals do you have? I am going to dial in on Marie's suggestion. I am going to really ultra slow down. I feel a little stronger after yesterday. I can feel just a little bit. I think this is what it's going to be like for me in this season here. Just a little bit better every day. Really feeling happy that I turned the camera on yesterday to connect, and now it feels good. Be here. I'm looking forward to keeping this going. I'm looking forward to the mind clearing out. I want, in some best version, I would finish this talk that I started writing before this all started on some papers I've been reading on what happens when we miss a meal. Some interesting studies. I found a study too, I think it was 2012, that was done even before fasting kind of retook off in a little subculture. And I am really looking forward to talking about that. I had a little thought. We'll see if I can do it. I don't know. Here's one thing I was also just going to randomly talk about. I'm on a 3-week antibiotic course, 3 weeks of doxycycline for this Lyme disease, which I've found severely unpleasant. Antibiotics just tear up the GI system. I mean, that's my experience. I have found it really not nice. And then these antibiotics twice a day. You got to take medicine twice a day. Make it difficult to practice time-restricted eating. I started writing a little bit yesterday on different components of fasting. Fasting to me is 3 things. It's like thinking about making this the topic for tomorrow. We'll think about it. It's both, it's like time is a component. How long are you going without eating? How many times are we eating as another part of it? And then how much are we eating in total? This is like 3 different concepts wrapped into one. We were talking about this a month or so ago, that sometimes people are saying, well, what if the time part isn't so convenient, People are saying, is it okay if I eat a breakfast and a dinner? So look at these 3 elements of fasting. What we're trying to do, we're trying to take concepts, It's like, what are fasting concepts or elements? How do we bring things into our life in a way that makes it better? Each of these things have their own potential benefits. They're all components to it. And I was saying a month ago, it's like a reduced meal frequency program without prolonged fasting has benefit, right? And I've just become so much more acutely aware of that during this stretch, where my GI system feels terrible. It's like, I would really like to be fasting. If I feel like this in my normal life, I would be fasting because I'm going to give my GI system a break, as I feel bloated and bad. But then I've also got to eat to take the antibiotic. Otherwise, that is very bad. And so this is putting it in a place where we got to eat. We can't do fasting. But here I'm bringing in the one element where I was like, there's so much pressure in society. People feel like they have to eat 3 times a day. I was like, okay, if I'm eating my breakfast and the dinner and taking these things, I was like, I'm not hungry. I don't feel like eating lunch, on a day. So I realized I don't have to. So we can just still do 2 meals, right? And 2 meals better than 3. It's giving more space to the GI system. And it's felt good. So even though I'm eating every 12 hours, it's not really it's not a 16-8, it's not something. Still, a fasting concept is helping me by saying, eating 2 times, even if the times don't match some pattern that people say, oh, that's what fasting is. Still, the concept has been helping me, get through this season. And so I've had people who say that, for different reasons. Maybe it's medications. Maybe it's just how it is. 2 meals giving a good benefit independent of the timing. Hey, that's a beautiful way to think of it. Thanks for sharing, yeah. I think that, at the root of most situations, with weight, a weight process, hormones at the root of it, And many different hormones can have their hands in the mix. But hormones control how calories are processed. So calories very important. Hormones control how those calories are processed. I think this is a big part of so much of the confusion that we see in a weight loss space. How come somebody is lean? They eat whatever they want. Say, well, that person has a fast metabolism. Okay, but why? And say, look at my situation. I was I hardly eat anything compared to these people. But yet the weight is so hard to lose. Feels locked in there. Well, there are literal locks in the body, and those lock and key systems are hormones, insulin, one of the chief ones. And so I think it is an accurate way to think about it. When we are eating, yes, the calories are there. Just fasting is helpful. That's like that third component. How much are we actually eating? You know, I've one big part of the talk that I'm writing is like fasting-induced overeating. Okay, that's like a real thing to watch out for. You know, I've had, done, I usually in my consulting with people, I try to get people out of a really detailed calorie counting sort of mindsets. Like I like numbers like 1, 2, 3. How many times are we eating? 1, 2, 3. But the times where we do it is when people are getting into this zone where it's like, the more I try to open up a fasting space, the more we're blowing up the meals we are eating bigger and bigger. And that can be okay. The research that I'll present show that some amount of that is normal. And, just not to totally spoil my talk, but the big take home is that in people who miss a meal, on the next meal, what's normal is that people eat about 20% more than they normally would at that meal. And, but not 100% more. And so this is what creates the gap, and this is what can allow something very simple, like a 16-8 sort of thing, eating twice a day. It's like giving us many synergistic effects. 2 meals instead of 3, 2 times calories flowing in instead of 3, 20% increase, but 80% of it still gone. That's the deficit. Now it's put into a space where those hormones can actually reset. The physiology is really good. The spot where that could break down is if we deviate from that. And instead of 20%, okay, we got a lot of leeway there, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, but if we start going toward 100%, all of a sudden we can start neutraling out the calorie part of the benefit. It's like we keep some of the hormonal benefit at 100%, but that'll slow it down. See, all 3 of these things, very synergistic. How many times are we eating? How long and how much? All those flow in together as the total fasting, whatever you call it, process, lifestyle, intervention, however you phrase it. We start blowing that out past 100%, then it can be especially counterproductive. And so it's a small, I don't know the exact number. That's one of the next things I'm trying to pin down. How many people, out of all people who try to practice fasting, would experience a drive to overeat that would blow out the next meal past 100%? In my experience, I think I was going to say small. I think it is small, in my, experience in a weight management clinic is seeing hundreds of people. Probably that subset of people who are coming into a medical system for weight management, probably, do you think it is fair to say, probably has a higher representation than the total population of people who would experience that. I'm just theorizing. And then out of that, I couldn't tell you off the top of my mind. I'd have to think. I haven't, scientifically tracked it. But it's some fraction, of people really experience that. And so that's a sort of thing, I hope you can appreciate from the vibe of everything I do, nothing forced. This is one of the big reasons that I say never should fasting be forced, because fasting to me should just be openness. It should be flow. It should be something that helps you to feel better, and it should be taking the pressure off. And if you're not feeling that way, I think this is actually one of the main things that drives people into this sort of state, is they are not in a mental space for it, and it can trigger these compensatory, I don't know, is it physiologic, psychologic? Probably the same thing, mind and body, same thing. can take us to a space that ends up being counterproductive. So we do not want anything like that. Okay, there I'm like, I'm giving my whole talk that I'm trying to put together. That's good. It's all good. Pat says, I definitely have a tendency to overeat during my mealtime. I have found staying hydrated, drinking water before and midway through a meal helps. Hey, thank you for sharing that. Beautiful tip. Yeah, I'm super in favor of that. Glad that you find that helpful. A large percentage of what we experience as hunger is thirst. And so it's a really good process if you are struggling with try to keep those meals dialed in. This is a very perfect thing to do. Pre-hydrate, right? That's hitting a lot of receptors. It's giving some stretch into the stomach. Say, okay, stuff's coming in here. That's part of the satiety system. You know, when we think about mindfulness and eating, I try to help everybody use all of our senses as we are eating, because each of the inputs, what do things smell like? How does it taste? How does it sound as we are chewing it, right, and swallowing it? How does it feel? All of these things are communicating information to the brain and the body. And those messages, the body uses hormones to control satiety. We did satiety, meaning the feeling of fullness and contentment after eating. How does the body know that we have had enough, you know? It's trying to run calculations. How much food has come in here? How much do we need? It's trying to balance our physical experience of hunger and our experience of being satisfied in order to help us bring in the amount of nutrients that we need to run the body. Really amazing. And so like if we're watching TV and we're zoned in and Netflix is just happening, you know, this is how we can lose touch with these core functions of the body. And so from that sort of perspective, deep mindfulness, I tell everybody, turn off every distraction, like look at the food coming in, you know, really experience it can help. And then this would be a part of that whole process. Start the process ahead of time. Sometimes I say even like a fiber supplement, Metamucil, something like that, would be another thing. No calories. Ideally, you get one artificial sweetener free. Another thing that can just add some calorie-free something to the meal. Drink a fiber supplement before a meal is like the next level from, as long as you tolerate it, you know. It's like the next level from staying hydrated, help you feel more full. Really wonderful to share this space with you. I hope you have a beautiful day. Do some thinking. These one small step is the first step, even mentally, before you take the actual physical step. Dialing in on this thing. What is really the purpose for it? We're not on an 8-year track to nowhere, like this person is sharing their experience. We're okay with ourselves. We're not trying to serve anyone else other than our own interest in health, and we're not trying to do anything other than what they said, relax and enjoy this experience. Everything is okay. And from that space, step, step, step every day, doing what we can. We'll take another step tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you there. Have a great day, everybody.